Om Shanti. Welcome to today's episode of Masters of Change. Change is scary, but so is staying the same. That's why having a growth mindset is important. And to keep evolving is key to one's success and happiness. To tap more into this thought, today we have with us Sister Meera. Welcome, Sister.
Thank you.
Can you tell us more about your journey, how it all started?
From my childhood, I always had the thought of serving community. So from my younger age, I used to join Girl Guides. Then when I went to college, I was in NCC, usually National Cadet Corps, they call it. So I was very much interested in serving community, not leading a family life like all other people.
Right.
And so I also wanted to study medicine, so that it's one of the methods to serve humanity.
Correct.
So that's why I had chosen a subject like botany, chemistry and zoology. So I finished my graduation, BSc in the Mysore University in 1968.
Bachelor of Science.
Yes, Bachelor of Science with the chemistry major and botany and physics minor.
All right.
Even though I am brought up in the Hindu family, but I studied in the convent. Christian convent from my kindergarten, from younger age. So I usually appreciated the disciplines of the Christian nuns,
Right.
So I learned a lot from them. But at the same time, I had a very good background at home because I am from a very religious Hindu family. So we had certain disciplines set by our parents.
Right.
And so it was a good balance between both.
Right.
But somehow I just wanted, I thought that one of the methods to serve community is to be like a doctor or a nurse. And so that's how I chose the subject in my college.
Correct.
So when I finished my final degree, my father was going to the Brahma Kumaris, but he was a seeker. He used to visit all the swamis and ashrams. Ashrams and swamis, and seek for. He was searching for the truth. And because we were children, myself and my two brothers, younger brothers, he used to take us along with him wherever he goes.
Right.
So we went to Chinmayananda, we went to Shivananda, Rishikesh. And he had actually got a teacher to teach us Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we had memorized 700 shlokas, every evening we used to have class. And but anyway, somehow there was no answers given. Whenever there was a question, the answers were not given properly to us, because we were curious to know so many things.
Right.
But somehow, so I was in the final degree, and that time the center had organized an exhibition in Mysore. I am born in Mysore, brought up in Mysore. I studied in the Mysore University.
Right.
So,
Which year is this?
It was in 1968. So my father got introduced to this exhibition, and so somehow I think he liked it very much. The knowledge, it touched him, so he felt like he got what he was searching. And but he didn't tell us that where he was going. But somehow through the transformation in his life, because he was a very angry person. Very anger, even though he was doing so much of Gayatri Mantra and all this bhakti, but the anger was really very strong. So we started to see some change in his life after he came to Raj Yoga And so the atmosphere of the family changed. And somehow he was trying to persuade me to go to the center, but I was not interested because I wanted to finish my degree and go for further study. Even though he persuaded me, but I didn't go until I finished my examination.
Right.
So I was in the holiday after my examination, waiting for my results. So that is the time. So he requested one day, that why don't you learn typing? It's going to be useful for you in the future. So join the typing institute and learn. Those days is manual typing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, it was a surprise for me because he would never take children to get admission in the schools or anything like that. Most of the things are done by my mother. So when he requested, he said, okay, then I went.
Okay.
So he took me to the institution, typing institution, which was just opposite to the center in Mysore.
Right.
So we got admission and everything. So then he said, the center is just opposite. We can just peep in, But then we were told by somebody that Dadi is not there because she has gone to Mount Abu. She will come back on that particular date.
Okay.
So we didn't go upstairs. We went back. So one day he actually made an appointment for me to meet her with Karuna Bai, who is now in the media.
Okay.
So he was in Mysore at that time with Hriday Pushpa Dadi.
Right.
She is the elder sister of Chandramani Dadi,
Right.
and one of the Yagya seniors.
Yeah.
So they brought me to the center. I just finished my examination. I was only 18 plus 19, I think, 19 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did not know her who she was, and I don't speak Hindi. Because only Kannada and English.
Okay.
Mostly English we used to speak.
Right.
So I don't know anything about Sindhi at all.
Okay.
So I have not taken any Raj Yoga knowledge. I don't know anything about Drishti,
Okay.
What you do and all that. So anyway, they took me straight into her bedroom, and she was just standing in the bedroom, and we don't know each other, but somehow we met with our eyes, first
Right.
time. She looked at me and I looked at her. That is all. There was that total silence for that few minutes. And that is the turning point of my life, actually. Something happened that, it was like an atmosphere of spirituality charged with so much power. So I just felt like, that I like to become like her.
Yeah.
Without knowing.
You got inspired.
Yeah, I got inspired without knowing that who she is and what she does. And so then I told my father right away, and then if I want to become like her, I want to stay with her, otherwise how I will become. My father wanted me, actually he was persuading, so he was very happy.
Yes.
So that night itself, he went home and then he brought a couple of dresses, for me to stay there.
This is the first day you went to
Yes, that's all. And after that, I never went back home.
Oh.
I stayed with that 2 sets of clothes, and that's it. That is the turning point.
That's
After that, I never went back home, and I stayed with Dadi, and nobody gave me 7 days course. It was only by listening to the knowledge, I just was able to understand,
Right.
and also Hindi also. I did not speak Hindi, but I had learned Sanskrit, was my second language. But somehow I begin to, listen to the Murli, and somehow I felt like I was able to understand.
Yeah.
Because during those days, they used to play film songs,
right.
With the gramophone
Right.
manual.
Yeah.
But somehow in South India, we are always against Hindi.
Right.
But somehow I liked Hindi song.
Okay.
I used to listen to Vivid Bharati a lot.
Oh, nice.
And but somehow I used to join the strike in the school down with Hindi, But somehow when I came and started to live with Dadi, I just felt like fall in love with Hindi language. And I begin to understand the Murli, everything so clearly without anybody teaching me.
Can you just tell us more about Murli? Because people listening
Murli means versions of God, versions of God that we read every morning.
So you understood everything.
Yeah, because somehow I did not take the course and nobody gave me the course and nobody explained to me what is Murli, what is this all about. Somehow I begin to know it myself.
Correct.
So then after a few days, after I have learned, I was also given the responsibility to translate from Hindi to Kannada.
Right.
During those days, we were the pioneers, in fact, those days.
Yeah, correct.
So then I started to translate with a carbon copy.
Right.
So I stayed with Hriday Pushpadadi, for some time in Mysore, and then she took me to Bangalore because she was based in Bangalore.
Right.
She was visiting Mysore for some time, So then I went with her to Bangalore.
Oh, nice.
And of course, I stayed with her for 7 to 8 years, traveling. Many centers were opened in Karnataka,
Right.
many states, because that when I went there were not many centers,
Right.
but many centers were opened after that.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Maybe your father took you to that job because he wanted to learn.
I never went back to typing institute. Never went back. Only I got admission only.
Just because it was opposite to the center, maybe he wanted to.
Yeah, he wanted me to come there, but I did not go even to the center on that day.
Right.
And I never went back to the typing institute after that.
And you said in this story that you used to seek answers to certain questions which were never answered.
No, all these bhakti questions, In Hinduism, they worship Ganesha, they worship Hanuman, they worship Durga. We used to ask parents, why they show 4 arms, why they show 8 arms. They say, no, you cannot ask all these questions now.
Yeah.
When you grow up, you will know it by yourself.
Yeah.
So we were always suppressed.
Right.
We were never told,
Yeah.
Any meaning. We used to chant Bhagavad Gita without knowing the meaning.
Right.
Just chanting.
Yeah.
Without knowing the meaning.
You got the answers to those questions?
Yes, I got all the answers. Of course, after coming to Raj Yoga, everything was very clear,
Right.
Each and every aspect of the festivals, the rituals, the customs, the systems,
Right.
everything was very clear. Because it comes in the Murli very clearly.
Yeah.
And so I got the answers.
Right.
I think that is what I find that, nowadays the youth, young generation, they are getting converted into Christianity, Muslim, Buddhism, because they don't get answer. And when they ask the question, they say, you cannot ask these questions now.
Yeah.
But if they answer them, then at least they will be persuaded, they will be inspired to follow, The parents themselves don't know the answer, so they can't answer, so they will suppress.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So you joined it in 1968, that was long time back.
Yes, it's 54 years ago.
Yeah. So you've almost seen the organization grow in front of you.
Yes, because when I came, I was very fortunate that founder father was alive.
Correct.
And so my father, I stayed in the center for 15 days. And then after that, my father and a few others were going to Mount Abu. to meet Brahma Baba, the founder father. So he wanted me to accompany him too. So, but I was reluctant. I did not want to go because I don't know the Hindi very well, and then also I have not understood the knowledge very much in depth. So, but somehow he wanted me to go to please him. After all, I just went.
You went?
Yes, because at least to please him, we did not know that Brahma Baba was going to become Avyakt in 6 months. Nobody knew about it, but I just went to please him. But when we heard about that, he left the body and became Avyakt. So then after that, I was so fortunate that I was able to meet him in person, physically, and spend my 7 days time in Mount Abu. So now I really thank my Lokik father for pushing me or forcing me to go with him. Otherwise, I would not have met Baba, So it was an interesting experience because without knowing the language, nobody was there to translate during that time. It was a very small community during that time, I think in India, we may have had only 150 centers by that time. Very few. Yeah, that's all. 1968. Wow. Because they came to India in 1952. So centers begin to open from then onwards. So a very small group, not many.
And how many centers do you think are there today?
Today we have more than, I think, 3,000 centers all over the world, mostly in India. And in centers in 150 countries,
And did your father share some story about the founder of Brahma Kumaris?
No, somehow he had a wonderful experience because he wanted to see God coming into the body of Brahma Baba. He really wanted to experience. That is the purpose that he wanted to go there. So what happened was myself, my younger brother and my father went and few others went also. But my father had a vivid experience as he entered the same Baba's room that we have now, but it was very primitive. No roof, simple cot. Baba was sitting on it. There is a bench in front for us to sit. Yes, very simple. So, but as soon as he entered the door, he could not see Brahma Baba's body at all. He only saw the light. And he was so excited that he wanted to embrace the light, and he just uttered the word Baba, and like a child, he went and embraced the light. So which means like Baba in the Sakar, But of course, Baba knew what he was experiencing. So he was in Baba's lap already by that time. So Baba made him, give drishti and made him sit in front. So we could not see anything what he saw. Myself and my brother was there, but we saw him experiencing this.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
That's very interesting.
But I was already staying in the center by the time, just waiting for my results. So one thing I remember very well, my father wanted, he did not mind me to stay in the center, surrender, but he wanted me to do Lokik job. Because he felt like in India, people don't like their children eating from donation. That's a kind of a disgrace for them. So he said, you can work, earn, stand on your own feet and stay in the center, So you can do Lokik job. So he wanted to check with Brahma Baba whether I can work. So Baba gave permission that I can work and stay in the center. So he was happy. But somehow at that time, I don't have anything to say. Because we were taught from childhood that when elders tell you something, you don't talk back. So I did not say anything. But then we went back after that, and my father was happy that Baba has given permission for me to work and stay.
Did you work then?
Then what happened, when we returned, I got my result, final BSc. So, but then I realized after I returned that I don't want to work. I don't want to work, So I wrote a long letter to Brahma Baba that I don't want to work. I have already dedicated my life for Baba, and I want to use my life for Baba only. So Baba wrote back one letter to me, few lines only. Baba said, when you have faith that unlimited Father has come, you should be roaring like a lioness, not become goat and sheep. That's all he said.
In Hindi?
Yeah. No, he used to write in Gurmukhi, and then Lachu Dadi, Ishu Dadi used to write in Hindi on the top.
Okay.
Baba always wrote in red pen, and his handwriting nobody can read except Ishu Dadi. It was Sindhi, Sindhi language. So then from that letter I got a lot of empowerment.
Yes.
So I said, no, I don't want to work, So even though there was a little bit of tug of war between my parents and myself that I should be working and staying, Baba has given permission. But I said, no, I did not want to use my time for Laukik job. I never worked, not even one day. I did not work. Yeah.
But you worked a lot for world.
Yeah. No, means I was in the center from the beginning, and because we were the pioneers, so from the beginning, Dadi somehow trusted me.
Yeah.
And she began to give responsibility for taking responsibility for different things from the beginning itself, So I was engaged in surveys from the beginning. So somehow there was trust and faith. So that was also my fortune,
Yeah.
So then I was like a right hand for Dadi, mostly helping her in different ways. And then we were other Kumaris together. We were 5-6 of us staying together. So I spent about 7-8 years until 77 with Dadi Hriday Pushpa in Bangalore.
Yeah.
And I used to travel around in India, different places. But in 1977, I was sent to overseas.
Malaysia?
Yes. No. Malaysia is only recent. I was sent to Caribbean first. Yeah, that is also another interesting story, because I was invited for a conference in 1976 in Bombay, in Villeparle. There was a first conference we had, Divinize the Man Conference, international conference. And we had Uncle Steve, who was the that time vice president of Guyana. His family was in knowledge. He was a contact soul. So he had come to Sri Lanka for some job, Laukik job. So he was invited to be the chairperson for one of the session, in which I was speaking. So after I had finished speaking, then he said that I would like to take this sister to my country for service, something like that. In the audience only, he said. So that time, then of course Ramesh Bhai was sitting in the audience, and he said, no, we won't allow sisters to go like that, So of course after that, the program was made. So I went to Guyana, Caribbean in 1977.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I spent about 5 years in Caribbean. Guyana, Trinidad, Suriname, Barbados, Jamaica.
It must have been a lot different from India.
Oh yeah, totally different, because I have never traveled in the aeroplane before.
Yeah.
In India, we only travel by train. And my father was working in the railway. We get first class pass. So we travel by train mostly. I did not even know what it means to travel by flight. So that training was also given to me by Ramesh Bhai, just to do a trial run.
In 1976?
No, 1977, before I went. Yeah. What it means to travel like flight, you know.
Yeah.
But for the first time, I traveled alone to London, via London, to Trinidad and then to Guyana. Okay. I did not know the names of these countries also. Right. I never saw them in the map. Where is these countries and what kind of people live there? But somehow there was no fear. Okay. I knew that God is sending me for service, so He is going to look after. Correct. So I was very, very fortunate because uncle and auntie, they are the VIPs of the country, you know. And so I was under their care. And Mohini Ben from New York, and then Sister Hemlata and myself, we three stayed together for 1 year in Guyana. Right. Yeah, so...
Did you face any challenges there?
Of course, you know, everywhere there will be something or the other, you know. But one thing is very, you know, interesting is that because we were so far away from India, but because of the care and love that was given by auntie and uncle and their family, made us feel at home. There was no strange feeling. And of course, Mohini Ben, senior sister, was with us. And so we get guidance also from her. And it was always mostly quality service. Right. Because it is uncle and auntie, the Baba's home was also very big, and service also is of quality. You know, it was very nice. But then after 1 year, there was a lot of change. Mohini Ben went to New York, and I had to go to Trinidad because Trinidad is 1 hour or 1.5 hours from Guyana. It's a West Indies island. Yeah. So there was no center in Trinidad, but there was service happening from time to time. Seniors will go, and they stayed in one of the contact family who is member of the Mahasabha. They call Mahasabha, Hindu Mahasabha. Okay. So Mohini Ben has been there a few times giving talk, Jayanti Ben. Yeah. They all have visited their place. Right. So I was sent to Trinidad. Okay. So I had official visa for Trinidad for 2 years. Okay. So I stayed alone. Yeah. I stayed alone because usually this is one of the first challenge because we all stayed in India as a family, 5-6 of us together, you know. So it was like living in a family. But now, of course, in Guyana also it was not much difference because there was a Mohini Ben, Hemlata Ben, auntie, uncle, they were all around like it's a family. Right. But now it was when I went to Trinidad, that was a challenge for me because I have never stayed alone in a house, and that brother was alone. He was divorced, his wife, he's divorced, and he had a maid only. Okay. So he had a big house, and they gave one room for me and then hall to conduct meditation classes. So right. That is very challenging because I never stayed with people like that. Yeah. So I have to do everything for myself. And then, of course, I have never come in contact with black people, Negroes. Yeah. I have never seen them before in India. Yeah. So that was another challenge to deal with them and to understand them. They are Christians, yeah. But their culture, their habits are totally different. Correct. So it took some time for me staying there alone to build up service. So then suddenly Dadi Prakashmani and Ramesh Bhai was visiting. Okay. They were on a world tour. Right. So they were visiting Trinidad. Now there was no center and there were no students. You know, I just went there, and so I had to create some students before they come. And then, of course, it is a family, staying in a family, all the preparations to make, and then also public program. Yeah. public program to arrange for Dadi Prakash Mani and Ramesh Bhai.
Right.
So it was all new experience because I don't know anybody there, you know. So somehow in those countries, especially Trinidad and Guyana, Mahasabha is against Brahma Kumaris, Hindu Mahasabha, because they are Bhakti, we are Gyan.
Right.
So they are always opposing Brahma Kumaris because they think that we take away their devotees.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of tests. Even Mohini Ben had to face some tests in Guyana, also in Trinidad.
Yeah.
So I also had to face a major test in Trinidad, you know, because the Hindu Mahasabha is against.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. So somehow somebody made an appointment to meet an education minister there. He's a Negro.
Yeah.
So he's quite open-minded. So I went to meet him and he was invited for a silver 25th anniversary of Hindu Mahasabha.
Okay.
So he asked me what to speak, what lecture he can give. So how can I say what to speak? So I just gave him one book, Peace of Mind and World Peace, you know, Jagdish Bhai has written one book. I say you can read this and see if you find anything useful, you can say.
Yeah.
What he went and did was that he took the whole book, contents and read it literally to the Mahasabha people when they have invited him as a guest for the 25th anniversary. And they were not happy.
Right.
He just went and promoted Brahma Kumaris like that.
Right.
So then they wanted to come and check with me, check on me, you know, whether I have official visa or not and on what basis I am there, you know.
Yeah.
So they sent people from government, they've sent some newspaper people to interview me. And of course, Mahasabha themselves, they have a newspaper and they call it as Bomb. The name is Bomb. And so one day, one of them came. I did not even know how they took the interview and photos. And after 1 week, they published in the newspaper, Mahasabha newspaper, big, my photo at the back, one full page. You know, Hindu nuns enter into male problem. That means usually females don't preach, only males.
Right.
So they had written so many things about Brahma Kumaris. So that actually motivated people to come and know who I am.
Oh.
You know, so more people started to come. But then the test I had to face was I was alone.
Right.
And so when this article came in the newspaper, I did not know how to respond to that. So I had to call Mohini Ben, I had to call Dadi Janki. Of course, they give you knowledge, you know.
Right.
So everything will be okay. Drama is benevolent, you know, you remember Papa and things like that.
Yeah.
So somehow it was very smooth. It was not anything difficult. But it was something new for me to face.
Right.
Because I was alone. I don't have anybody to talk to.
That must have given you so much strength.
Yes, but there was faith in Baba that Baba has sent me, so he will do his best, you know.
Correct.
Then many people came to find out. So that was
as
something.
They say, any kind of publicity.
Yes, yes. And also when I was in Caribbean for 5 years, we opened up centers in Suriname, Barbados. So I used to take some, introduction letter from some contacts. So I will just go on my own and then go to the hotel, and then meet the people whose introduction letter they have given. And I used to sometimes make my own interview calling the newspaper, we are going to conduct course in this hotel. I stayed in the hotel and then people used to come to the hotel apartment for the course.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so that's how the center started in small islands in Caribbean. So it was wonderful experience for 5 years.
I'm sure it is so interesting to see all these experiences.
Now Caribbean has lot of 16 islands they have center.
Right.
But that time was only Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, Suriname, Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah, now they have started centers in many places. So I stayed in Trinidad for 2 years. And then my visa was finished. So I came back to Guyana. Then Sister Hemlata was sent to Trinidad.
Okay.
So I spent until 82 in Guyana. So then Dadi Janki wanted me to come back to Singapore.
Okay.
Because Singapore was starting. That time just they got registered. And so Dadi asked me to come from Caribbean to Singapore. So I came to Singapore in 82. That time Malaysia also service started. You know, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, they all started around the same time. So now we celebrated 40th anniversary of Malaysia service last year. Okay. So now we have about 60 centers, Gita Pathshala sub-centers in Malaysia, more than 1,500 BKs.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And now we have a big retreat center also.
Right.
Which can accommodate about 200 people.
Wow.
But Malaysia is a multicultural country. We have Muslims, Chinese, Hindus, Christians, all living together.
Okay. It was so lovely to hear about all these experiences. I mean, time only permits us this much, so we'll have to stop here, Didi. And thank you for sharing all these experiences. And thanks for taking out time to speak to us.
Anyway, it's a pleasure to share, Baba's magic. Right. It's not anything of ours.
Correct.
It's Baba's magic. Right. So there are so many things to talk about,
It's so great to see you so humble.
Yeah.
And Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.